Dawlish today, but I'm in a rush. I'll explain once I'm down on the platform what's going on. Out of service. It's typical, isn't it? Typical. Right, well, there's no way to get a ticket, and there's nobody on the station to ask. So we just get on the train. Okay, so here's what's going on. I was supposed to be getting the 11 o'clock train over to Dawlish to meet up with Andy, meet up with somebody else, do some bits and pieces. Job's a good one. Anyway, happened to check the real-time trains. Turns out the 11 o'clock one's cancelled. So I had to come down now, half an hour earlier, rush out the door. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. Well, here we go. Wish me luck, and I'll see you in Dawlish. If I'm not arrested, if so, send bail. Well, I caught a guy on the way off and managed to get one straight off of a machine, so lovely. I'm ticketed. Right, let's go and sort Andy out and we'll find Andy. Well, that's Andy alerted. He's on his way down now, so that's all good. And a quick pan round on the platform, which is almost finished all the painting now. Have a look at things. It's done a marvellous job. Right, let's get down to where I'm going to meet him. And this could be a bit of a different video, audio-wise, because we're going to try out these new wireless mics. So it's the first time, first test of them. I may get them all set up wrong. May have Andy booming out and distorting himself. May have me unable to hear me. I don't know. We'll have to see, won't we? Just play it by ear. And if I make a mistake, we'll always get it right the next time. Lovely. And quite a lot of then and nows later on, involving that area there, where the mini golf is, and the Tux plot, I think it's called, and this little bit down here. Anyway, we get to them in due course. Lovely. That's one of the ditto houses, still up. If you haven't seen my ditto video, it's linked at the top now. I walked around and found as many as well, not as many as I could, but a good few of them, but left some for you. Stop the world, I want to get off now. Okie dokie. Okay, so here we go. This is Tux plot, and he's going to tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah, so basically what we're looking at the moment is obviously now the new Safari Golf. But many years ago, when it was originally called Tux Plot, and Tux Plot, a gentleman called Mr. Tuck, I couldn't tell you his name, whether it was Bill or Andy, but it was always known as Mr. Tuck. Mr. Tuck used to graze his donkeys on here, and obviously it must have been a piece of free land or something to the town, but anyway, he had sole rights. He grazed the animals. Now, in 1898 it changed from Tux Plot to the present day name, which is York Gardens. Now, I will explain more when we go into York Gardens, because obviously we're now still looking at what is Safari Golf. So
and this isn't a million miles off, it's a bit closer, but there's a picture from 1974. What does it look like here? Lovely. There we go. Smashing, eh? Smashing. Okay.
well, now it's something very interesting about this hydrangea bush. It's actually, this is in my garden. Now, my nan was a keen gardener, and what happened was my nan used to go around the town and she used to take cuttings from plants, and this particular bush here she took a cutting from, and my nan had a cutting of it, my mum had a cutting of it, and eventually I had a cutting, and I think even my brother had a cutting of it, but I have still got the sole surviving cutting of this bush. So there's a bit of useless information for you.
Right, so this bridge here is Jubilee Bridge. Goes across the river, just down here.
Yes, and it was made in honour to Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. Now, what Bill is taking you to now, this beacon was erected in 2005, and it was for the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Trafalgar, and somebody must have climbed up there and put something in it and lit it up. It was quite a magnificent sight.
Jubilee Bridge. And over here in the 1930s, obviously before there was the crazy Gulf, used to have the White Legs Fair. Here we go. Sorted.
The old round table wishing well. I think many of you have probably chucked a penny in there over the years. I know I did. Still do today as well. Plenty of money goes in there. Right, now what we're looking at now, this is the early fountain. Now the early fountain was built by a local stonemason, Richard Dewdney Early, and he was one of the forerunners of building the old seawall. And in fact today the seawall down at Cove still stands, and that is what Richard Early built. Now this was commissioned by a guy called Mr. Hatcher. Now Mr. Hatcher, he worked on something called the Dawlish board. The Dawlish board was a forerunner to the Dawlish Council of today. So he was a very wealthy man, and his ideas were that he wanted Dawlish to be a place of high interest, and the fountain was to be the pinnacle of the town. So unfortunately it never got named after Mr. Hatcher. It got named after Richard Early, and that is the Early fountain. Right, so looking across now the gardens, we're looking at Harrison's Amusements. Well, originally, as far as I can remember, it was in the 30s, it was a W.H. Smith's, then discontinued as that, and I believe it went to various other shops before it went to something really originally named Amusements. An old amusement place where I used to go in as a boy. I used to take my pennies in there and ride an old Indian Chief motorbike, and a Bambi ride, and a zebra. There was even a sooty show in there. That then went to Harrison's around the 70s and stayed in it at this present day now, which is now not gaming machines anymore. Now it's more sort of arcade penny machines. But they also have, at night time, they have a gambling casino at the back, and they got the license for it last year, where we got the old garage, which was just in front of us now. And there was an old motor garage there many years ago. I don't know much about it, but again it was there around the time of the Second World War, 1930s to 1940s, and my granddad used to take his trucks in there for service and repair. But as anything else on it, I can't tell you very much about it because obviously I wasn't born.
And that's the second garage there we can see, isn't it?
Now the second garage you can see in behind. Now a lot of you who come to the town would remember it as Woolworths, and in that place was a garage. Again, it's a garage I don't know very much about, but records are about it, and I'll probably find something about it on the web to give to Bill, and you can have a read on it.
Andy was telling me about back years and years ago when this was the seawall as was, and there was the war on, and I'll pass you over to Andy.
Yeah, well, back when the war was on, in particular, it was about the time of the Battle of Britain. My mother used to walk upon the seawall quite a bit. She had a war effort. She used to travel from here to Gloucester most weeks at an air screw factory. But anyway, to say the point, she noticed one day a Messerschmitt, a lone Messerschmitt, came flying over the seawall, and it strafed it. It didn't fire any bullets. It just strafed run the seawall as if to frighten people. Now, two Spitfires were obviously scrambled, and they were up behind it, and they chased it out to sea, and they shot it down. Now there was the crowd of people here. They all cheered when this Messerschmitt got shot down, but when it was going down, the crowd fell silent, as if almost there was an empathy for the poor German pilot that had been shot down. Now I was just saying to Bill, I can't say when it was or where it was, but Mum said a few weeks later an ME-109 got washed up onto the beach, whether it was here, Teignmouth, anywhere, Exmouth, because Mum used to travel about, and the German pilot, the dead German pilot, was inside. So a very sad ending to the tale for that pilot.
Indeed, and I won't say lovely for a change. There we go, some of the older houses there look absolutely lovely. And of course, as we come around here towards Lee Mount, which is the cliff behind, there's the bridge.
Yeah, the Kennaway Tunnel footbridge.
And pan round, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the cove there,
Yeah.
what it was like when he was younger.
Well, when I was a young boy, this cove here, it's called Boat Cove, and there was a reason. The whole cove was covered, well, the beach there was covered in boats, little small fishing boats, and they used to bring the lobster pots in and their nets in every morning, and sometimes you'd come down early in the morning, and if Bill pans back round to the footbridge, where the fence is there, this used to be covered in fishing nets, so they used to dry their nets and repair their nets here, but sadly all gone.
And he's just telling me about the old peak numbers on the wall there and a fake Banksy underneath it.
Yes, Andy got very cross about the fake Banksy because he likes the old peak numbers that were there. It's a class 46001 and class 45069, and they are fading away sadly. I used to love fishing here as a young boy. A lovely pleasant place on a summer's evening, and as Bill pans round the rock out there, one year I remember some jokers swam out to it and put a mannequin dummy on it, waving at everybody. It's one of the funniest things I'd ever seen, and it was in a pair of bright yellow swimming trunks. They weren't mine, by the way.
Corrigan Red Rocks and Railway Tunnels. Pause if you want to try and read it. But there's the real deal. No trains at this second, unfortunately. There we go. Have a nice gentle pan round.
Spent many hours on here.
Rock tunnel up there in the distance.
You're zoomed on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, the Cove Cafe.
And he's just telling me about these winches. They're 180 years old.
Yes, they are old. And I mean, again, not my age, so I can't really tell you very much about them, but I've seen many a boat being pulled in here at night time, even in the morning.
Good to think they're still going. Smashing. Just saying it was barely worth starting up the camera for that with the fence there. Such a shame. Ruined it. Ruined. Wasn't that long ago we got on a boat at the end of there. Went on a boat trip.
Yes,
Link to the video up the top. Yep. Now here's a family. I'll put the date on it. Got a little AI thing to go with it as well. They're having a picnic round about just here, and you'll see the steam train going by in the background. Anyway, Run VT. There they are, enjoying their picnic right by the busy road. We'll probably want that busy then, with the steam train in the background. So I'll put it in the AI, bring them to life. Look at that, lovely. Tried to get the steam train to move, but it wouldn't do that. Never mind though, as usual, here it is again, in slow motion. So I love the way it brings these people to life. It's absolutely fascinating to me. But as usual, all good things must come to an end. So here they are again, back in 1938, frozen in time, forever enjoying their picnic. Lovely. Right, now in this picture, you're going to see a little hut over on towards the left. And, well, I'll let Andy tell you all about what it's to do with.
Yeah, so the hut that you're seeing in that picture, that was the hut to the putting green, the original grass putting green. And that was opened around the 1950s, probably even in the 1940s, because I know I've seen wartime pictures with people, American soldiers playing golf on there. But during the 50s, my grandfather, he worked as an attendant in that very little hut, and he would serve people with the clubs and the balls to go on the course. But unfortunately, poor old Grandad was never provided with a seat, so every now and again when there was nobody about, he had to sneak across and sit on the wall. And Grandad couldn't stand very long because he fought in the First World War, and he carried shrapnel in his legs when he was fighting on the Somme. So unfortunately nobody ever thought in them days, oh, we're going to give you a nice comfortable chair to sit on. So Grandad unfortunately had to sit on the wall. And he probably got piles from it.
Right, remember some time ago, almost a year ago to the day near enough, I didn't have any teeth. I stood up on the bridge there and I did a picture of DS Sport sat on a bench and recreated it and then saw him in real life. Well, he's back again. Now I can't recreate this next photo properly, but I'll put it up anyway. There we are. There he is with his mum on a bench, and that bench would have been over there somewhere. But that bench is no longer there. So what we'll do is we'll turn round to the original bench from the original photo, and there he is with his mum. Hello. Smashing. Nothing's changed. Lovely. This is Cassie. Cassie, lovely little doggo. Hello then. Way. And as they make their way over the timber, what I'm going to do is show you a lovely picture of a crossover taken by DS Sport at Dawlish Warren. Here we go. So there we are. That was lovely. Date should be on the picture if I remember to put it in there. And of course, what trip to Dawlish would be complete without the legendary Dawlish Gaze Creamery? Shot of that.
Lovely.
Yes. Nice little traditional barbers and pub.
Yes, a very old pub that is.
Alright, we're just going to try putting the drone up. Wish me luck. And we're off. Whee! Here we go. Over the lawn at Dawlish and down towards where we've just been looking at with the Tux plot and the Crazy Golf and the amusement arcades and the fountain. It's a station. And head back again. Nice and low. I'm only at 26 metres, so it gives you a bit of detail. No birds bothering me today. Just over the tops of the trees there. I'm nowhere near them really. And flying back, right back over our own heads as we go up over the bowling green. And I stop here briefly to take a 360 photo, which is linked in the description. Have a quick pan round. Can you see your house? Quite a busy built-up town now, Dawlish, isn't it? Nicely painted houses as well, businesses. There's the church. And now time to get a bit more altitude. Whee! Up we go now. We're going up to 120 metres, which is maximum height, which means no chance of birds bothering us. But I can also hand the controls over to Andy, who is playing with the zoom to work out how that works. And Andy is flying the drone now. So I said to him, right, well, have a go, have a bash at it. So he went round and looked at a few places that were of interest to him. But again, can you see your house? That's a proper view, isn't it? Proper view. Certainly a good look round, isn't it? Right in the centre there now is the hospital. And St Gregory's Church, right in the distance there, just at the top. And finally, just take a quick look at the road out of Dawlish as it flows with traffic towards Dawlish Warren before hitting the button and returning to home. Of course, sped up slightly, but there we go. Down it comes to land on my hand. Smashing! Right, so there we go. A little fly around. All good fun. Andy had the second half of that.
Andy crashing into all the trees.
And yeah, don't forget to check out the 360 photo on Google Maps, linked in the description. But before we go, what trip to Dawlish would be complete without feeding the swans and the geese and of course the pigeons and seagulls, no doubt. Right, let's start off with tipping a little bit in and see if anyone seems interested.
Chinese geese.
It's the seagull geese.
Ah, yes.
I better chuck some over to the geese. Oh, the geese don't seem very interested, do they?
No, well, I think they've had a big breakfast.
Right, there we are, one bag of swan food distributed to the local wildlife. And a pigeon trying to take my foot off. Smashy. Cheers, mate. One last shot of the brook that's desperately in need of being sorted out.
Definitely.
You go and have a little picnic on there, couldn't you?
You certainly could.
Who needs the beach? Just go to the brook. Nightmare.
I'm afraid it's in dire need of some massive improvement.
And there we are. Hopefully the microphones did their job. As I say, it was an experiment, so we're going to find out. And seeing Andy back to his car now. I'm going to get across the platform, see if my train's on time. And there we go. All I've got to do now, wait for my train. Lovely. Hope those mics came out all right today. Interesting though, experiment, isn't it? There we go, the 12:53 is expected at 1:02. Hello. And here we go, my little tiny train to take me all the way back to Teignmouth. And indeed, a tiny tacker is half of the blue and green train, just the blue part. Right, see you in Teignmouth. Don't think I'm going to get a seat and film out the window on this one. Standing room only. Not full shelter. Well, there we go. As I say, I hope you enjoyed that. Slightly different format today. Nice to have some information from Andy. Hopefully you heard it all right. Got to see what I made of it. Got to check it out when I get home. And with that, love you and leave you. See you again tomorrow, hopefully. Same time, same place, for yet another video. Take care. Bye.